Okay, we're recording. Hey guys, welcome to our top enroller call. So proud of you. I did pull up the list again because I wanted to recognize you guys by name. So, I wanted to give a shout out to Laura Armato. Is she on? I don't know if she's on yet or not. She had the top enroller. She had 6 ambassadors enrolled for November. So yay for Laura. So way to go. That's so awesome. Stephanie Shekel had 5. So way to go, Stephanie. I see you. You're on. Congratulations. Brandy and Laura had 4. So that's exciting. And then Angela, Kathy, Wendy, Anna, Caroline, Charity, Hannah, Kim, Caitlin, Medja, and Mark, I think I got everyone, all had 3. So that's what we always recommend is bare bones, just kind of like homeostasis type thing in your Plexus business, is to always be adding the power of 3. And so I like to call that, oh, Laura's on. Hey, Laura, we just recognized you for being the tippy top enroller. So way to go. But anyways, I always recommend and want to really make it a culture on our team to just make that adding 3 part of your culture, part of your team culture, part of your personal, goal for the month is what we're calling it, active leader achiever. And some people like Laura did it ×2. So that's so exciting. And then helping our people do the same. So, so excited we could all be on together. So just wanted to say a huge congratulations. So proud of you guys. Carissa is actually on. Her screen says McKenna, but her name is Carissa. She's a sweet friend of mine. She's a Diamond Ambassador and mom of almost 4 babies, right? And I can't wait for you to hear her perspective because she's going to share her story. But also, I know a lot of us on this call are moms and we're busy. And she is actually helping her husband through men's school. So she has a lot going on. She understands busy life, mamahood, all the things. So I'm going to actually turn it over to Carissa, and she's going to share her story first. And then I thought that we would kind of just do it interview style. And I have a couple questions that you guys had written down in the thread that I thought we could just ask her and hear her perspective on. So she's a wealth of wisdom. I so appreciate her friendship, and I'm totally pumped that you guys get to hear her perspective. So Carissa, so thank you so much for being on tonight.
Hi, you're welcome. Can you hear me? Okay, good. So my screen does say McKenna because McKenna is my sponsor. Sometimes we switch accounts because we're power partners and she's paid for the premium Zoom. So if I'm going to do a long Zoom, I log on as McKenna, and apparently I'm still logged on as McKenna. So thanks for the sweet words, Megan, and I echo that so much. I just really, really value the opportunity to bounce ideas off of Megan. So I am in a different place in my life and in my business than Megan and Justin in some ways. They both get to be doing this business full time and supporting one another back and forth. And I can tell that that's producing amazing momentum for you guys, and that's amazing. And I'm in a season where I was able to build very, very quickly my first couple of years, and I was able to get to Emerald that first year, and then Sapphire and Diamond within 2 years after that. And things have gotten a little tougher in this 4th year of my business. My husband's school schedule is very demanding, and it changes all the time. We have more children, and we have a child on the way. So, I never know how I'm going to wake up feeling as far as just physically. So I want to say, first of all, that I have my own battles when it comes to excuse making, when it comes to my mindset. Like, there are lots of days where I'm just like, oh, I just can't even today. Whether that's making healthy choices with my meals, or whether that's sitting down and doing something that's hard or scary within my business, or just plain boring. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm going to send product instructions to so-and-so. But, it is a daily discipline. And those little disciplines, those little daily things, if you've read Slight Edge, they build up. And they, for us, have built up to an income that allows us to put Chris through school, and thus far we have not had to take out any student loans. So yes, huge part of our story, and still allows me to be the one at home as the primary caregiver for our kids, which is just very important to me. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. And I didn't go into my health journey at all, but I will tell y'all that real quick. I decided to get genetic testing about 6 years ago because I have a big family history of cancer, and found out that I have a genetic predisposition to breast and ovarian cancer that gives me very, very high risk. And so I took proactive steps and had a mastectomy very young, and unfortunately ran into complications after that surgery. So I had to have several rounds of antibiotics, and bless my doctors, they did the best they could. They did a great job, but none of them educated me about gut health. So as I worked to get rid of all the infection and all of the issues after my surgery, I just was on round after round of different antibiotics, and I started to experience changes with my moods, my skin, I just felt like a different person in a lot of ways. And that's what led me down the path of learning about gut health. And I'm so thankful that Jessica Heffley was brave enough to reach out and share ProBio5 with me, because I was trying to address gut health through my diet only and really just not making the progress I needed to make. And she has told me several times she was scared to death to start the conversation with me. She just was intimidated. So I try to regularly, publicly praise her for having the bravery to reach out to me, because I think that builds belief in my audience too, that like maybe people are considering this business, but they're just too scared and they don't want to, we worry about what people are going to think if we post, or what people are going to think if we reach out, start the conversation. But if you can get out of that me mindset long enough to think about the people who are going to be thanking you 4, 5, 6 years down the road for allowing them to put their husband through medical school debt-free, and for helping them break free of a health struggle that's been plaguing them. Like, if you can think about that. And so I actually have to do that almost every day before I do my reach outs, because they still give me the heebie-jeebies. So I literally have to be like, I cannot wait till this person is thanking me for their testimony. I cannot wait to see this person enjoying a trip to Hawaii with their spouse, and just kind of affirm that. So that's a little bit of my story. And then Megan, you wanted to ask a few questions, you said?
Yeah. So a couple of the questions I had posted in the thread, some of the girls had asked, is balancing Plexus work with home life, how to prioritize Plexus work, posting regularly, new reach outs, follow up, team care. This particular girl is having trouble keeping up with Instagram. And then another gal says, I want to balance it all, but I feel like I'm failing Instagram or Facebook. And then one girl was really vulnerable and said, these the other ladies seem to have it all figured out, and they're all so successful. How do they do it all? So curious if you can speak a little bit to that.
Oh, I feel like I battle those same feelings every month. There's always going to be these huge crowds of people who are killing it in their business more than I am, especially in a season where I can't give what I have been able to in other seasons. And I don't say that to give anyone permission to make excuses, because I think we can all look inward and know if we could be more disciplined and we're just making excuses. So I do want us to look inward and really be honest with ourselves, where there's no one but you that you need to be accountable to when it comes to that. But I also know that certain personalities, and mine is one of these, struggle with never feeling like I'm doing enough. And just that comparison monster can be brutal. So if that's your personality, I would encourage you to seek out spiritual mentors, counselors, like people who can speak truth to you. And if you're not having the best month, then I would encourage you to be proud of the seeds you're planting and be proud of the seeds you're watering. And if you're not seeing a harvest, I posted this to my team just last night. You don't have to be blooming to be growing. And so if you're not in this moment of harvest, that does not mean that you're not doing the things. So I hope that you can like just be proud, like do things you're proud of every day, even if they're not the tangible outcome that you're going to get a shout out for. But for some of you, that may not be your personality. And I know there are some people that they can find an excuse to do almost anything but sit down and work your business, do your IPAs. And so, we all have a limited amount of hours in the day and an even more limited amount of time that we can put toward Plexus. And if you're using all of that time just like responding to random questions within your team, or taking like an hour to write a post, or taking like an hour to write a post for your team page, it's not highly productive activity. Just saw something pop up in the chat. I'll look at that in a minute. It looks like it's a little bit, it'll take me out of my train of thought. So again, back to that, like we do have to focus our minds and determine what activities are the absolute non-negotiables to keep the planting happening, keep the watering happening, so that the harvest can happen. So for me, I kind of have it divided into like, here are the intentional actions and here are the like reactionary actions. Like mentally, I kind of have it categorized that way. And at least for me, the intentional stuff that I'm like, where I'm trying to create things that happen, like reaching out or following up, that kind of posting, creating, maybe going live on my page. That stuff that's the first priority, non-negotiable. So as I'm looking at my week and looking at what time's going to be available to work my business, I actually have to kind of put on my calendar, like, okay, Monday morning, 9:45, as soon as our sweet, mother's helper gets here, I'm doing 45 minutes of reach outs. I've got to get it out of the way first thing, because I can put that off and put that off and put that off and find all kinds of reasons not to do it. And then, and I like to let it progress from maybe the hardest stuff to the slightly easier. So if I've got a couple hours with that mother's helper, reach outs are going first, follow-ups are going next. And then typically after that, if I need to make a post to my team or I need to coach a few people, I'll put that on my calendar next, because that's a little less intimidating to me. The other thing I wanted to tell y'all that I do is I don't do to-do lists. They tend to just stare at me and loom at me and make me feel stressed. I do anything that's priority within business or life gets like a time and date on the calendar. And I prefer an online calendar because it's super easy to move stuff around and I'm not erasing on a piece of paper constantly. But if all of a sudden I'm like, oh, new customer so-and-so, I've got to send them product instructions, I don't want to be thinking about that all day or forgetting about that person. So I just very quickly pull up my little online calendar and look for the next time where I can sit down and focus. And I give that a date and time. And I do it for everything. Like I said, reach outs, follow-ups, specific names. If I'm talking to Megan about getting started and she's not quite ready yet, then when the conversation kind of comes to a lull, I put something on my calendar for when do I want to talk to Megan next. Maybe I want to give her 2 days to think it over. So I put something on my online calendar, like follow up Megan Goff. So that helps me. The tricky part is when you're in a season of life where the time is just very, very limited. Because when I was building to Emerald, I had about 6 hours a day to devote to Plexus. And I'm in a season of life where I don't have that much. So I just have to really prioritize and go, okay, these are the windows of protected time I have. And in the protected time, I'm doing the intentional things. And then in the nooks and crannies, I'll do the reactionary things. In the nooks and crannies, I'll pull up my inbox and see who's written me back. or see who's maybe sent me a little question or something like that. But in those protected times, I'm knocking out the intentional stuff, and I am blinders are totally on, and I am not letting other incoming things distract me.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that I have told people before is like, I've had other people tell me how they got through having a baby. That's what this reminds me of, is like, I can share, or someone can share with me how they went through that process. I can share what I did to help myself go through that process. But at the end of the day, like, everyone is going to have to figure out kind of what works for them, and sort of in light of their daily schedule, or, you know, hitting their goal, which is maybe getting to gold or to emerald or whatever the next step is. But I feel like it is one of those things that you have to, for me personally, I have to like get my brain on paper and just like chart those top 5 moves, exactly what you were saying. So thank you for practically sharing, you know, how you get those things done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have another question about how to reach out to those who I've sent the first message to but haven't received a response back. How often should we touch back in?
Yeah. I have so many instances of people that I have continued to reach out to despite, you know, not hearing back. And they have ended up ordering or joining at some point. So I would encourage you not to make assumptions about what's going on their end. Like, don't let yourself speak the words, oh, they ignored me, or oh, they ghosted me, or oh, they blew me off, because they could have forgotten again and again and again and again. And that has happened to me. So let your self-talk be uplifting. And just kind of, I'm very oblivious to people who might be thinking negatively of me. I always just tell myself, like, they're probably so happy for me. They're probably supporting my business. Like, I bet they just forgot about my message. I definitely can't tell you like how often, because that's going to differ person to person. And you're going to have to be a little bit intuitive when it comes to each relationship. And if somebody, you know, does engage with you in other times, like on your social media or maybe in person if they live in your town, like you can tell you have a good rapport with them, but you haven't heard back about Plexus, I'm gonna feel comfortable being a little more bold or a little more often, versus if I'm just never ever even getting a poke from somebody, I'm not gonna like message them every week. So some of that you'll have to be intuitive with. But I find that if one form of reach out hasn't been successful, I'll try another avenue, like maybe a direct message on Instagram if a Facebook message didn't work out well, or like a voice message. If a written message kind of got shoved to the side and forgotten, then I'll try a voice message the next time, because I feel like then they'll see like, oh, well, she really is sincere about wanting to get in touch with me about this. I also feel like a voice message is, you can't skim it and you can't go, oh, it's about Plexus, I'll just look at it later. Like, you kind of, the curiosity wins out and you listen. So I do like following up with a voice message. And I just try to, with every contact I make, I try to keep it very sincere. If somebody has ignored a couple messages, they're not going to be someone I reach out to today and say, hey, so-and-so, I wanted to let you know we have a new product coming tomorrow. You're going to love it. Like, that is going to sound copy pasted. Sorry, I forgot to silence my phone. So, for instance, like this one particular girl, I think I had reached out 2-3 times. And it was probably 4, 5, 6 months after the last point of contact. And I was just like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to try again. So I voice messaged her and I said, hey, I don't know why, but your name continues to be laid on my heart. And since you haven't responded, I really have no idea if this is something that you've thought about, or maybe even you have felt pulled towards, but I have felt pulled towards you, and to not give up on reaching out to you about this. So like, I've kept it very genuine and just told her frankly, like, I don't know why I haven't felt good about giving up on you yet, but I haven't. So here I am reaching out again to see if this is something you want to talk about. Here, let me silence this.
That's great.
Does that help?
Yeah. One of the things that sometimes I'll follow up with just a comment on their Facebook posts or their Instagram thing.
Yeah.
Because it just is a reminder, because I've seen that even when someone has messaged me and I'm like, oh shoot, I need to message them back. When they comment on something, their name will remind me.
Yeah. Like I definitely do that too. And sure enough, like I'll have reached out to that person. Maybe they see it a week later, I'll comment on something of theirs and then they'll respond that day because it reminds them.
Exactly. Yeah. Another question is how to get your team to work the business. One person has 6 and they can't get anyone to work. So what are your thoughts there?
Oh man. Okay. I'm in a season right now where I'm having the same problem. So I'll say a few things that have worked. First off, a big thing I had to do that was a game changer for me is I had to look at my self-talk about my team, because I had really examined my self-talk when it came to my own fears, my own just kind of loops that were holding me back. But I became aware that I was saying things like, my team, I can't get them to do anything, or I sign them up and then nobody gets to silver. Like I was letting those types of things become familiar thoughts. And what happens when you think about your team that way is your behavior starts to go accordingly. So if you're like, what's the point of sharing this idea with my team if nobody's going to turn around and act on it? Then you're probably not going to share that idea with your team. And they're definitely not going to turn around and act on it. Like your behaviors are going to start to follow what you believe your team is going to do. And so I had to start writing down affirmations about my self-talk about my team. And I had to start saying things like, oh my goodness, my team cannot get enough of my advice. They are sitting on go, just like waiting for the next thing I tell them would be a great idea to do. Like they cannot get enough. Holy cow. These people are like knocking my door down. So I had to start like really, and I'm talking elaborate, like you can't just be like, okay, my team is hardworking. You have to like make it convincing. So I started doing that, like really changing my self-talk about my team. The other thing I think is really key is you have to be, this is John Maxwell, like 101. This is from the 21 Laws of Leadership. You have to be being the example and you have to be making your example visible. You have to be doing both of those. So I have to be doing my IPAs. And my team has to know that I'm doing my IPAs. So like part of my IPAs after I do my 45 minutes of reach outs is to do some sort of a post or something in my message thread, or maybe some private connections and be like, hey, so-and-so, this message has gone really well for me today. Maybe it'll help you too. Or, here I am doing my reach outs today. I don't know, but like, the leader has to know the way and show the way. So you've got to be doing the things and showing your team that you're doing the things. So, yeah, that's my answer.
Perfect. I'm taking notes. It's good stuff. Also, I would say that's why I've had to keep recruiting people, is because a lot of people may not want to do the business, and that's totally fine. And some people don't see the vision for it until months down the road. I have several rubies on my team now that did not share right away. And it was more of like a year and a half in that they started sharing, but it was just something clicked for them, and that's different for each person. So I think still, approaching them with it is good, not in an annoying way or not too often, but just to swing back around and say, hey, I'm helping people go silver this month. And I know we've chatted about it in the past. No idea if now is a good time, but just thought you might want to, get the cost of your products covered and maybe help some more people get healthy this year or this month or whatever. I would totally help you do it. So, so offering to walk alongside them. But yes, let's see.
Well, and the other big one too that I'm really trying to institute with my team is like that smart sign up process, where when you sign up an ambassador, you've already asked them like, hey, if you love your results, are you open to sharing about that with the people you love? Okay, great. Well, like then that's the expectation. And then even right after they sign up saying, hey, would you share a little bit of my testimony tonight to your social media? You never know who in your life is struggling. Like, and it would mean so much to me for you to help me get my story out there. And give them the words and say, well, it could look something like this, and post it with a cute photo of you. I'm telling you, like 8 or 9 times out of 10, people are like, sure. And so the night they sign up, I have them share my story, and then we just baby step it. I don't tell them, hey, do you want to work the business? I just tell them, oh, cool, you got a lot of people supporting your post. That's so exciting. Here's what you can say to them. Hey, so-and-so, thanks so much for supporting my post. I'm pretty excited about my health journey, and it really means a lot to have my friends cheering me on. This is kind of a scary step, but thank you so much for supporting me. Is it something you'd like to try with me? Like, you just give them that. And I know why people are like, oh, well, thanks. Like, and so you're just totally baby stepping people along. So that's the other big one too.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I'm doing that way more with my personally sponsored new ambassadors.
Good.
Didn't do that in the beginning, but you will, as long as you keep going and keep sponsoring, you guys will have people that are self-starters. But a lot of people aren't self-starters, but they will do something if you walk alongside with them. Did anyone have any quick questions that we didn't go over for Carissa? I want to honor her time because I know she's a busy mama.
I do see one in the chat.
Let's see. Oh,
this one in the chat was their boss had breast cancer and a preventative hysterectomy, and she's on drugs for 5 years after the surgery that are giving her hot flashes. I've only known her for 4 months. So I would reach out and say, hey, I know I've only known you for 4 months, so I hope this is not out of place. I know that your health is none of my business, but I hate to see that you're suffering with these hot flashes, and I can't imagine the toll that these drugs are taking on you after your surgery. There are some people on my team that have gotten some relief with X Factor Plus, or, you know, I have a friend who really found some relief with our probiotic after having to be on all those antibiotics during her surgery. So I would just not feel right keeping that from you. And I hope it's okay that I reach out to you about that. Like that's an example of what I might say.
Does anyone want to unmute and ask a question? Just curious if there's anything else that you are dying to ask her since she's on. How do you handle people who were initially interested in the business and have fallen off?
I have a lot of people like that. I mean, I try to stay in touch and pour into the friendship. I want to communicate to them that I wasn't just interested in them when they were interested in Plexus or working Plexus. So I try to stay in touch and be a friend to them. And then I think the biggest thing is like, I just have to keep doing my part in making sure my message is out there. Because if I am just taking random like month-long breaks from posting about Plexus or month-long breaks from my business, which I see so many people do, like, oh, I kind of got out of the swing of things because, you know, the kids started school, or I kind of got out of the swing of things because it was Christmas. But, you know, now I'm jumping back in. Like, if that's you and you're just kind of jumping in and out all the time, then those people that have fallen away, they don't see a consistent belief-filled message from you. So I just would say, like, if you're in a busy season, then let there be a bare minimum where you're at least still getting the message out there and sharing testimonies and doing that kind of thing. And I have had people come back. I mean, I've had a girl who 3-4 years ago said, you know, she was like posting and had great influence and was building. And she literally was just like, okay, we don't need the money. And I don't want to prioritize my time toward Plexus right now. It was a very like conscious decision she made not to work her business anymore. And I was like, okay, well, I respect that. But she continued taking her products and we stayed in touch. And in the last 6 months or so, she came to me and said, I think I want to dive back in. And I was like, great, let's dive back in. And we just kind of did the baby steps. But now she's one of the fastest growing people, like one of the fastest builders on my team. So, I know for a fact that if my message had not been consistent and I had been wishy-washy in my own belief or in my own message, probably she would not have come back around. How long did you say it was before you saw results? I have an ambassador that needs reassurance with all the classic gut health issues. She's been doing it for a month. Oh, well, y'all, I'm a nut when it comes to learning about health. And the more I learn, the more I'm like, your body is a complex thing. And sometimes you heal one thing and that just kind of like opens you up to have to address another issue that maybe your body was in so much distress that this other issue couldn't even surface. It can be a long process. And I'm very open with people like, hey, we're trying to heal your body. This is not take some Zantac and feel the relief 30 minutes later. This is going to be an ongoing process. So what I typically do with people like that, now I felt my cravings change the first week. And I could tell that I was having an easier time losing my baby weight within a few months. Some of the bigger things like hormone issues, I definitely felt like it took 6, 7, 8 months to start seeing. But I had fast results. But I always refer people to a few on my team who it took quite a while. I've got a girl on my team who used her products consistently for 2 years. She has rheumatoid arthritis. She used her products consistently for 2 years, and she finally started to see big turnaround like in the 3rd year. I don't know what kept her doing it. But she was consistent, and now she has not had to refill her prescription for her biologics for her rheumatoid arthritis. She hasn't had to go get a steroid shot in a long, long time. So her testimony is super powerful. So her name is Caitlin Bink, Caitlin spelled with a C. And I refer people to her story a lot when they're like, it's a month in and I'm not feeling any difference. I show them Caitlin Bink. And another one on my team is Cassie Howard, who's Senior Ruby. And she needed a good 4 to 5 months before her endometriosis pain started to subside. And the transformation was huge when it finally started to change. But it's just, healing is not an easy thing. It's just not an easy thing.
Yeah, feel free to use my story too, because it took me the better part of 4 to 6 months, and I had extensive gut health issues and I was up to a certain point in my health, but I still had a lot of things that had to heal. And so when I think back to my journey, if I would have quit after 60 days or 90 days, I would not have seen the same results. It does take time, and especially with gut health things, it can be 2 steps forward, 1 step back a little bit. That's why I think like education is so important, plugging people into like our 3-day challenge that starts tomorrow. That way they can just like learn more. Because if I wouldn't have been plugging into how and why the products worked or listening to testimonies, I don't know, that just really gave me hope. And I was thinking, for all these people that don't plug into anything and they just start feeling detox, like they have to be at least plugged into their sponsor so they have some support, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carissa, thank you so much for being on. I think that was it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on. You're welcome to stay on if you want. I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing and work through a couple worksheets here, but thank you so much.
I want to watch the recording. I have to hop off, but I want to watch the recording later for sure.
Thank you so much for being on. We so appreciate it.
Welcome. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so One thing I thought might be helpful is for us to go through a couple of worksheets that Emily Gibson made. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I uploaded it to the team page. It's a file called New Ambassador something or other. I'm going to share the screen actually so that we can go through it together. So let me pull it up here. It's right here. There it is. Okay, so New Ambassador Packet is the title of it on the team page if you just look under the files. But a couple of things that Carissa even touched on is about adding a new ambassador, how to write their name down in your planner the day you recruit them. And then you basically have 4 touch points with them. Even if they end up quitting, I love that Emily said, at least if I know that I did my job, then it's on them, not me, right? Because it's not our, we did our job basically. So I loved how she suggests this. So week 1, you write their name in to check again, 4 days after they signed up, right? So you can say, example, hey, Ashley, have you gotten your products yet? I'm so excited for you. If they have received the package, then you can say, how did you like the taste of your pink drink? Tell me what you thought. And then you can send your dosage recommendations in a video explaining the product. So I have a little video on how to take your products. Maybe you have already recorded one. It's not hard to record a super short little video to explain to your people. That way they get your face and your perspective. I think that's really healthy and really good. So, and then week 2, you talk about, are you getting into a good rhythm? And asking specific questions. Do you feel like you're taking your products consistently? Are you drinking your water? Are you going to the bathroom 2 to 3 times a day? It's important to ask specific questions because a lot of times they say they're drinking their water, they say they're going to the bathroom, but if you actually detail that, like how much water or how many times they should be eliminating per day, they might be like, oh, well, I only go once a week, or whatever their normal is, they think that's the way it should be, right? So it is good to pencil that in and to ask them specific questions. And then the 3rd week is when you want to ask them specific questions about detox. You don't necessarily need to say, hey, are you having some detox? You could actually describe symptoms to where you say, hey, I wanted to ask you if you've seen an increase in your sugar cravings. My 3rd week, I noticed that they came back. If the answer is yes, then you can troubleshoot them by increasing Probio 5. And then if they say no, you can say, if you notice anything like fatigue, sugar cravings, bloating, don't hesitate to reach out to me. This is actually a sign that your body is healing itself. And then week 4, check in. You can either troubleshoot some more, help them set alarms to take their products, like just basically coaching them through the process, right? So I think that's really, really helpful how she kind of has that where you can put it in your planner so you make sure you're not dropping anyone through the cracks. There's also some information about candida overgrowth. There's more on the files of our team page. There's one specifically about gut health. If your people are having, if they have horrible gut health issues, they probably need to take an extra supplement called L-glutamine, L-glutamine. And that's something that they can pick up at a health food store, but it helps to restore the intestinal lining. So this talks a little bit about detox, some ways to ease it a little bit. Milk thistle helps to support the liver, lemon water, Epsom salt baths, dry brushing, things like that. We have a lot of information like that on the team page, but helping people understand what that is. It's actually a scientific reaction to yeast dying off in the body. So it's a real thing. This is not necessarily my favorite phase thing, but some people really like this. So like the activate phase, reset phase, renew phase. So you're basically walking them through like the first 10 days, second 10 days, and then third 10 days of their products. And this is just, it's helpful. It's great because you can kind of, especially if you're newer, kind of see, how these products are recommended to be taken. She put in milk thistle and lemon water. So that's good. And this is great for people to print off if they feel like that would be helpful for them. So I think the key is helping people plug into resources so they can be consistent. Let's see. Oh, and then this page is really good. I think we went over this actually. When was this? At the Emerald? I think it was at the Emerald thing, or maybe I can't remember which event this was. Anyways, it's one of Brooke's wonderful tools. So basically, when you're like this whole recruiting process, it's a series of asking questions. So, you know, after the initial, maybe they reach out to you because they saw your post, or maybe you reached out to them because you just thought that they would, you know, track with the products that we have. You know they struggle with maybe IBS or anxiety or something, and you know you've chatted about it in the past, and you totally thought of them with, you know, what you've learned about with Plexus and how our products help people like that. And so, you know, ask a question. For example, what are you looking to improve? And then once they respond back to you, then you send a third-party tool. You don't have to feel like you have to know all the answers. You can literally send them the triplex video that corporate has. I think it's literally like a minute and 20 seconds or something. And then follow up in 15 minutes to ask them what stood out to them. And so this is kind of like a little box where you can continue to ask questions. I think you definitely shouldn't be afraid to ask them if it sounds like something they'd like to try. Don't be afraid of asking that question, because this is the thing. You want to move people through your funnel quickly from, you know, initial reach out to let's get you started on the products. I know it was kind of a aha moment for me when Jessica Heffley said, we can only help people if they get started. So we have to help them start, right? And then after that, the way to keep people is to help them have good results on the products, coach them through detox, and help them get their products paid for. Those are the keys to retaining people. And I mean, I feel like the overarching theme, one of the things that Carissa spoke to, is just the fact that none of us have it all together. A lot of us are feeling like, oh man, I don't want to reach out today, or we come up with excuses, or even with, you know, some of the things that we struggle with, like I don't retain every single person, but you'll increase your chances by, you know, making sure that you have your bases covered for yourself as an ambassador. Are you being the example? Are you sending up the starter directions? Are you following up with them in a timely, consistent manner? Those types of things will increase your chances of having people that stay on the products, and those types of things. So anyways, sorry guys, I'm congested over here. Another couple things I wanted to chat about really quick. I'm kind of all across the board here, but is this, okay, I think that was oh, there's one more thing. Okay. So again, you can go look through these files on the team page. But basically asking a question, and then actually there was one thing I was thinking, sending what to send to someone that's interested in the business without overwhelming them. I would send them a third-party tool, plug them into an event, or do a 3-way phone call. The quicker that you can get someone on the phone, the better. Honestly, that would probably be my first go-to. Unless it's someone that has been in network marketing before, I feel like sending them a comp plan video would be kind of like Chinese. Like, I just think of, you know, say I wanted to join doTERRA or another company. Like, for me to be thinking, oh man, I want to go get a video on their comp plan, that just sounds overwhelming. So I feel like having a phone conversation with that person, or even if you don't feel comfortable fielding questions that they might have, is to ask your sponsor, hey, would you be willing to share your story with my friend that's interested in the business? And get your sponsor to tell stories, or tell their story. That's really what speaks to people, is your story. Okay, this is the Developing Silvers page. Can you all see this? Hopefully. So this is kind of the process that Brooke teaches, and it's the system that really works well. I don't know why I never thought of even putting people into buckets, but it makes so much sense. So number one thing, enroll over the phone. That's one thing that I did not do in the beginning, or at least not very much. It eliminates or lessens user error, because you're walking them through it, or maybe you're putting the info in on your end, just, you know, so you can help them get it done. I do like to show them the back office. So once we get them signed up, I'll say, hey, click over to your virtual office and I'll show you a couple things. So I'll show them where their shareables are, and the rank up roadmap. And then I will also have them or screen share or FaceTime. I'll flip the screen around so they can see our Facebook page. I'll say, hey, I'm adding you to our team page. It's called One Team. This is it right here. And then I'll show them, the different resources in there, like the files or, how come I can't think of the pin post or those little units. Those are really great. So whatever way people like to learn, I like to at least help them know where to find information. I will plant the seed, like, do they know anyone that needs Plexus right now? Usually they have people in mind when you pose that question to them. And then like Carissa said, invite them to post on social media. Maybe they don't post their story. Maybe you just say, hey, would you be willing to post my story on your Facebook wall? And what are your thoughts about sharing with people that you love once you start to see, some positives? So then this is not something that you have them to determine, but by asking questions, you'll basically be able to determine whether they're a product user, whether they're, a slower starter. Maybe they'll go silver in 1 month, or someone that's all in, maybe their goal is to go silver in a week. So product users definitely, even if they're not interested in the business or like, oh, I don't want to share, I want to keep it secretive or whatever, I'll just always push a little bit, not be pushy, but just to plant a seed, I should say. I'll plant the seed in their mind, like, well, that's totally fine. Like, I respect that. I understand that mindset. You feel like you need to be able to put your stamp of approval on it. You're putting your name on something. You want to make sure that it is going to be what you want it to be, and that your expectations are met with the products before you share. Like, totally get that. So sometimes I'll just kind of repeat that back to them, and then I'll just say, one thing that I wish I would have done in the beginning is share from day one. Because sometimes when people share 6 months in, their story is so unbelievable that people don't even believe it. Versus if you would start sharing from day one to just say, hey, I'm starting this thing. I'm excited about it, but I'll keep you posted, to share share your story from the day one. So you're more credible in a sense. So that's one perspective. And then sometimes I'll just say, you probably know people that are struggling with IBS, who knows, autoimmune issues, maybe people that want to lose weight. God might bring people to your mind. I mean, that's what happened to me, is like just random people would pop in my head and I'll be like, oh, that person could totally benefit from Plexus. And so it's kind of an integrity thing for me. Is like, God would bring me these people into my mind. And I felt like, how could I not share it with them? Because it had the potential to change their life, to change their health, to change their finances, right? So it's a little bit of my perspective and how I share when I'm on the phone with them. But if they are just like, I don't want to post, or, well, I'll post, but I'm not going to like actively work or something. So that will just give me, kind of where they're at, But I definitely try to get them added to a 3-day blitz or a night of testimony, something to really help them, be engaged. And I'll add them on the team page, send them product directions and things like that. And then you'll put them in your list to follow up with. The people that, maybe want to get their products covered their first month, you'll definitely want to help them make a post. And I will literally send them what to say. I'll copy and paste, hey, these are some, so excited about my health journey that I'm starting. These are all natural supplements my friend Megan told me about. Does anyone want to do this with me? Post a cute picture of yourself. But I will literally just copy paste that to them in a private message. So all they have to do is copy paste, put a picture with it, boom, done. And then I will Hawkeye their post to see what kind of interaction they get, because every person that likes or comments should get that message reach out that Carissa said verbatim. Basically, like, I feel so honored that you supported my post. Like, that was so sweet of you. Is this something that you're thinking about trying, or I would love to hear what your thoughts are. So, thanks for supporting my post, that kind of thing. But people need that verbiage sent to them so that they know what to say to their people that not just comment, but like, and you want to make sure that you're actively engaged with them so that when they get someone that's like, whoa, what is Plexus? They may or may not know what to say if they get a question like that. So you want to be ready, Eddie, to help them be able to have a response back. And so those people that want to go silver within their first month, you'll definitely want them to create their hit list, their top hot list, not hit list, their top 20. And I just walked a girl through this. She's been in the team for a while. And she's like, I can't deny my results. She's like, easeisthebomb.com. She goes, I was off for a while, but she has, it might be rheumatoid arthritis, some sort of autoimmune thing. She's like, normally this time of year, I have such horrible, intense pain in my feet. And she's like, I don't have any of it. She's like, I want this now. I think she initially was game and made a first post, but it kind of fell flat. Like I tried to walk her through that process, but again, you can't make people do it. You can't do it for them. They have to want it. So here she is coming back to me. We have a little event scheduled for tomorrow night to share with people she loves. She's already gotten like 25 people in that group and said yes to her little reach outs and invites that she sent. But I did encourage her. I said, I got her on the phone right away. She's just like, I think I want to do this now. And so I said, okay, perfect. Can you talk tonight? Can you talk tomorrow at 3? Like I give specific and I capitalize on urgency. Oh my word, guys. Do not let days or weeks pass before you capitalize on people that are excited or that are getting started. Today matters. So I just told her to make a list of the top 20 people that she saw that would be really good at this business. I said, not necessarily because you think they'll join you right from the get-go, but I said, I so wish I would have done that with people closest to me. I did in a sense, but I don't think I had the belief or the urgency that I do now. And when I see friends go and join a different company, I'm just like, people, in a sense, it's on me because at the time I thought, well, they'll see what I'm doing, if they want to do it. Because there was part of me that thought, well, they would never do this. But in another sense, I see total potential. They have a completely, other network that needs Plexus, right? And so I think really communicating with your top 20 people, because really some of those scary people are some of the easiest people to sign up because they'll be like, oh yeah, sure. Successful people want in on opportunities. So just remember that. And some people that you reach out to in the beginning may not join you at the beginning, but they'll watch you closer and they will probably end up either at least supporting you and cheerleading you because successful people support successful people, or B, they'll end up joining because they see your story, they see who you are and what you're about, what you're doing. So, and then the top 20 list of people that could benefit from the products. But I say business builders, people with influence, people with good networks, people that are highly successful in life, people that you just see, wow, they have this skill set. Maybe they're influential, maybe they're just a great people person, maybe they're well connected. Whatever you see in them, kind of be thinking of those people because you want to tell them why you're reaching out to them. Also in mind of, you're thinking about the business, you're thinking about how great they are with people, compliment them when you're sharing your reason why for reaching out, right? Or why you think they would be good at the business. And then of course, you want to help people get started on the products as well, because some product people will end up being some of your most faithful ambassadors and staunch supporters. And some of those people, like me, I was a wholesaler, not planning to work a business, but I was slightly intrigued by the whole thing. I knew the products had to be good because of people that I saw doing really well in the business. And these were health gurus. So I knew I had belief there for Plexus, but you'll have wholesalers, you'll have gold on your team, diamonds on your team that you may not even know, and they may not even know, but they see potential, right? So, and then the third group is the people that are all in. So basically you help them post, you encourage them to make a list of 64 from their welcome kit. And you tell them about Fast Start Gold. That I would be telling even the baby step people that want to go silver in a month, tell them about Fast Start Gold too, because if you have some super red people, they may just be like, oh, 20, I could get 20. And they're just the type of people that will go do that. So don't forget to say that, just as an option. And then definitely make sure you add them to the team page. Someone that's going to fast start or go silver in a week, they may do it without you helping them at all, but you want to make sure that you're available to them and that you're checking in with them every day. Just be like, hey, how's it going? What questions do you have for me? That kind of thing. So that's kind of the extent of those worksheets. I think the information there is really valuable. The only other thing I wanted to say really quick, and then I'd be happy to answer some questions, is this idea of the 90-day rule. And it's really kind of the principle of the slight edge. I'm reading that book. It's basically what we do today impacts what happens in 90 days. And so if you're wanting to reap harvest in February and March, be sowing seeds now. December, you may not see a whole lot of blooms. I liked Carissa's quote, you don't have to be blooming to be growing. But if you know that you're actively reaching out to people, you are posting meaningful and thoughtful posts, you're being a person of influence, you're connecting in person when you go to Christmas parties, and not being the wallflower, you're actually doing the scary get out of your comfort zone thing. Those things that you're doing, those activities, are what will propel your business forward in a couple of months. And so I just wanted to remind everyone, activity cures everything. And I thought there was one other thing, but I don't remember it. So that was a lot of information. Do you guys have any questions for me, or want to hear my perspective on any of the questions that you posted in the chat thread? I felt like Carissa answered really well, really on all the things that, I have the same perspective on, really. Balance, fitting it all in. I mean, Jess and I are full-time Plexus people, meaning we don't have vocations outside of Plexus. But I will say, like, the amount of time that I spend on Plexus per day, it's not 16 hours a day. Like, I know Brooke Hemingway said that's how much she was pouring into her business when she started, because she went diamond in the year. And really, that's why she put that much into her business. And when you get that much jet fuel into the engine, I mean, your jet's going to take off and fly fast, hard, and high, right? I have never been able to invest that much time into my business. I have kids with me 24/7. I have 6 of them. I'm homeschooling. I mean, I have a lot of priorities that even trump Plexus. And so I will say, if you're one of those people that's trying to balance a lot of things, know that you can balance it. You can find a rhythm that will work for you. You may not be able to do all the things that you want to get done in your business, or maybe there's some seasons where you're able to invest more into Plexus and let a couple other things go. That's basically how I got to diamond. Was I had to let my house go a little bit more. I may not have been able to have it perfect all the time, right? There were some scary closets during those seasons where I just had to chump some things. I also did get some help so that I could work my business more. And it was for a season. And so I would just say, find out what works for you, but you want to make sure you're consistent, because inconsistency will really hurt your business. Okay, sorry, I'm just chitter-chattering. Okay, what is convention? And that starts, the convention contest. Okay, I should talk about events really quick before we pop off. Okay, events are the lifeline for your business. I would say that's one huge reason why Justin and I are where we're at, is because we made it a priority to be at events. It's never been convenient for us. Leaving behind 5 kids, 6 kids, bringing a baby with, I mean, that was kind of the majority of my Plexus events up until last year. I was always either pregnant or nursing at events. Had to bring at least a baby with me. But it wasn't the end of the world. I mean, Plexus is something I love. It's something that we have seen the opportunity with and want to capitalize on. And so it's been worth it. But convention is in June, so you want to make sure you get registered. I believe the registration opens this week. But there's a contest that runs right alongside, so you can earn prizes. There's a lot of fun things. And if you look at the points required to earn certain prizes, don't discount because you're silver or because you just started, or, that could never be me. I could never be on stage with a check. Let me just tell you that there will be people that earn big prizes. And it's not because they sat back and did nothing. It's because they said, okay, that's the prize I want. Let's map that out on paper. Let's see what's that going to require. And let's go for it. And you look at that goal every day. You check off those little green boxes as you fill them in. And Lynn Hauersile had a little graph that she made, and she had like a little marker she would fill in every time that she got one of her goals met. I think it was broken down into like increments of 10 or something, because that's how much each person that she signed up was worth or whatever. So anyways, convention contest is coming up. Yes, January 1, and you will find out more information at Super Saturday on the 12th. But basically, convention contest kind of starts retroactively January 1st. So definitely keep that in mind. Super Saturday, if you have not registered, make sure you're registered. There is a live streams option, so there's literally no reason why not to register for that. If you can go in person, it's even better, because I can't even explain how beneficial it is to talk to other Plexus people, to be in a room with that many people with the same vision, creative ideas, encouragement. You'll bump into some of the sweetest people on the face of the planet. You don't want to miss that. So was there anything else that anyone wanted to ask me really quick? I don't mind staying on for a couple more minutes. Feel free to unmute.
Hey, Megan. I've got 2 questions for you. Hey,
Sure.
okay, so Carissa answered my question about how to reach out to my boss, but what would be ideal for her, having had, breast cancer, chemotherapy, and then a hysterectomy, triplex and X Factor Plus, or is there another route to go?
I would say triplex and X Factor Plus for sure.
Okay. And where would you look? We have so many great resources now, so I don't know where you would look for relatable testimonies.
I would type in on the top of Facebook and just type in Plexus and hysterectomy, or Plexus hot flashes, and see what comes up. Usually when I do that, there's lots of stuff. It'll pull from whatever groups I'm in.
Okay, because I was going to individual groups, so I can it'll do that for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. And then my next question is, some of my teammates are nervous about having to travel to Super Saturday in person, but I'm kind of pushing that that's really important to be there in person. Do you think that's true?
I think I totally think that's true. Because if they just do the live, which if you're having a baby or some other life-altering circumstance, or you live in, I don't even know where, the northern tip of Canada, and you literally can't, drive 24 hours to an event, I would say get to an event, just because you won't get as much out. I mean, there's still going to be a great opportunity to listen to the live, but will you be interrupted? Will your husband be home? Will your kids be home trying to, tug on you? I mean, when you invest in yourself and actually go to a location, you're immersed in the energy, you're immersed in the side to side, knee to knee fellowship, belly to belly, question asking, hey, what rank are you? Or how long have you worked Plexus? Or, asking people their story, or if they have any top tips. I mean, that was my question, is like, hey, okay, so what's your top tip? The first Plexus event we went to, that's what I was just a question asker. Like, I want to learn, I want to do better and be better. And that's not caught if you're home alone, solo, or with all of your entourage trying to listen to a whole afternoon long training session.
Good. Okay. Thank you so much. I think so too. I think it's so important to be there. But I remember when it was really hard for me to go. And so a 4-hour drive is hard. Is there any explanation, like why did they make that a smaller amount of cities and with the live stream? Do you know?
You mean the locations?
Yeah. They were just asking why.
Maybe cost.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess I'm not sure. I don't remember how many locations they had last year, but we had to drive like 8 hours
Mm-hmm.
because it was not close by last year. I mean, oh, Jill Renfro, did you see that video?
Caitlin on here just said to watch that, so I will definitely be watching that and then sending it out. Thank you for that, Caitlin.
Well, and I think too, like she kind of just talks through her own story on how she didn't want to go, and it was like issue after issue, reason after reason why she shouldn't just go or shouldn't go. But I mean, I feel like every event that I've attended hasn't been convenient. It's in a sense easier to stay home because when you have a lot of kids or you have, I don't know, you guys work stuff or dogs or whatever you have at home that needs you, then you have to make
Skeptical husband. Skeptical husband.
Yeah.
You know, it's a real thing.
You have to be thinking, how can I keep all these people happy while I'm gone? You have to be providing entertainment, babysitters, food, prep, all those things. Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. But, hopefully their fear of missing out is enough that they will want to invest in themselves and their business. And I know Jessica Heffley just kind of put it really bold, like, if you want to rank up in your business this year, you need to be at Super Saturday and you need to be at convention. We literally don't have that many events per year. Just make a way to get there. So I sometimes feel like we should be equally bold with our team. I mean, especially if they're people that are saying they want this business, it's not too much to ask. I mean, we work a business from home, for crying out loud. We don't have to go to a different location. What a blessing that is. Anyone else really quick? Angie says thumbs up. Alrighty, guys. Well, it was a pleasure to be on with you. I hope you guys got some good notes. I'm so thankful you guys got to hear some of Carissa's brain space. I just love her perspectives. And hi-ho, here we go for finishing the year out strong, and new product release tomorrow, and our little 3-day blitz starts tomorrow. So stay tuned for Lynn. I think Lynn has day 1 tomorrow. Yes, she does. Lynn's on for tomorrow. So I will see you guys later. Thanks so much for popping on. Congratulations again, too. Have a great night, guys. Bye. And Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.